Welcome to Learn It, a series of digital scrapbooking tutorials by Studio Wendy at Scrapbook Graphics. Steph from the Daily Digi and I teamed up together to create a set of actions that will help you scrap pocket-style pages very quickly. And if you're not familiar with a pocket-style page, it's simply a 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 in some cases layout that treats each little section of it in a 4 by 6 or 2 by 3 section. And you can quickly add photos or journaling cards into those pocket sections and quickly scrap an entire layout. And in addition, you can get the special pocket protector sets from Becky Higgins' Project Life that will allow you to tuck in memorabilia and little scraps and things that you might save throughout your day. So it's a great way to quickly capture your memories and capture some stories at the same time. Now this set was designed to be very flexible, so you'll be able to use it with any scrapping supplies that you have in your collection. If you don't have any journaling cards in PNG format, you can use any background paper that you have in your stash. And in addition, there is a set that works perfectly right along with Becky Higgins' Project Life digital supplies. So if you have those and you have her paper supplies, this is a really flexible way of combining the two so that you can work with the pocket pages layouts as well as the pocket protectors and tuck in the physical supplies if you've bought those. So let's get started in looking at how we use the actions. Here we are on my Mac, and I'm going to show you real quick how to install these. It's as simple as copy and paste, really it is. The trick is finding the correct location to put the files in Photoshop Elements. In Photoshop CS, you would open up the PSCS folder here, select all the actions, and double click on them. And that will automatically load them right into Photoshop CS for you. If you have Photoshop Elements, it takes just a few more steps. First, you have to find the install location, which is included in the tutorial with your download. And you'll see here that from Mac, it is in the library folder. That's the main library folder. Application Support, Adobe, Photoshop Elements. In this case, I'm running 8.0. And then in there, you go into the Photo Creations and Photo Effects folder. Now, in that download tutorial, you will find the location to install these for your Windows 7 and Windows XP machines. Now, open up your Actions folder. And we are going to take a look here at Layout Option A. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to find my version of Photoshop Elements. There's 4, 5, 6, and 7 through 10. I have Photoshop 8, so I'm going to open up 7 through 10. And provided here is the Action Player Edition and the Classic Edition. The Action Player Edition will not run successfully with any actions that require user input. So the reason I've provided them is in case you ever upgrade to Photoshop CS. This particular file here will have all the actions in one package, whereas in the classic mode, they're all in pieces. So you want to install the classic actions. So just open that folder up, select them all, and copy and paste them into this window here. And on a Mac, that's just holding in the Option key while you click and drag. And then you'll see if we scroll down, here they are, they've all copied right in there. Now with the Photoshop Elements download, you'll see there's 3 types of files for each little piece of the action. We have the ATN file, which is the action file itself, the XML file, which simply tells Photoshop Elements to put that into a nice, neat category for you, and the PNG file, which is the thumbnail image. Once that's all done, you want to go ahead and launch Photoshop Elements. And if you have an older version of Photoshop Elements in 6 or earlier, you may have to delete your database files and go ahead and see the tutorial on where you can find those so that the database is rebuilt and you will have a nice clean install. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Photoshop Elements and let the and let the program build these actions into it, and we'll be right back. Now, while Elements is loading and rebuilding the database here, let me just remind you of a couple things. First of all, there are 7 different page layouts that come with this action pack. Each of those layouts has a different number and size of images on them, different orientation. And in your download, there was a little cheat sheet that shows the orientation of each page, along with all the supplies that you'll need to prepare in advance to use the actions. You may want to just print that little cheat sheet out and have it handy as you're working on it. I also find that creating a new folder and putting in there the photos and other items that I might want to use in advance will help me move along a little bit quicker. But the action will let you dig around in your folders as it runs if you don't have anything prepared in advance as well. So check out that cheat sheet. It'll help you a lot as you go along. Now I'm using Becky Higgins' Cobalt collection. And of course, like I mentioned before, this is a digital collection available at jessicasprague.com. And she also sells the physical products that coordinate right with it at Amazon. And you can also find the page protectors and pocket protectors there as well. All right, so Photoshop has finished opening. The very first thing you want to do in Elements is start a new document. You cannot run any action unless you have a blank document open. So any size is fine, just open up a new one. Then come over here to the effects palette, and this is where we'll find our actions. And if you click on the third icon here and hover your mouse over it, you'll see that's the photo effects icon. So click on that. And that will bring up this drop-down menu. And in this drop-down menu, you'll see the categories of any of the actions that you have loaded. And the one we want to look at today is this one right here, the Wendyzine Scrap It Pocket Pages A. And that, of course, is Layout A. Now, when we select that, we'll see here all the thumbnails for the different actions in the set. Each of the sets, A through G, comes with a starter action, which will get your page started. It comes with an all-in-one action, which will lead you through all the different pocket areas on your page in one fell swoop. And it also comes with the individual pocket actions, which will place just one of the photos or journal cards in that particular position on the page. And the reason I did it this way is it gives you the flexibility to scrap only part of a page if that's all that you have to work on, or it gives you the chance to scrap the entire thing if you're ready to do that. So with the project life philosophy, it's supposed to make it easy and quick for you to capture your memories and your stories. And sometimes you may only have a few minutes and only be able to put in 1 or 2 photos or a quick photo and a journal spot. And that's why these were designed in this particular way. And the other thing I wanted to mention is you'll see in some cases, you'll have a Pocket 5 and a Pocket 5 alternate. So whenever you see that, the alternate version is the version of the action that will allow you to use a paper or photo in every spot instead of the PNG format journaling cards in specific spots. So if you look at the layout, the final layout design of the particular page, you'll be able to see where the small 2x3 journaling cards are. And if you don't want to use those small 2x3 journaling cards, you want to use your own papers or an additional photo instead, you want to go ahead and choose this alternate version, which will allow you to pick any image and clip it to the shape that we're going to be using. In addition, we have a add embellishment action, which will add 3 embellishments at a time. And the reason for that is things always look great in 3s, or you can, of course, always add them manually as well. We have a journaling action, and the journaling action will add a text box on top of each pocket space. It does run quite slow as it adds these spots, so be very patient if you use it, but it is still handy because it will position everything right where it needs to go. And then you'll be able to edit all the boxes and delete any of them that you don't want to use. And then the final action type here in the set is the saver. And the saver is designed to save over your Photoshop file, which is created in the starter action to begin with, and then it will save a full-size JPEG and a 600 pixel JPEG if you like to post your pages online in online galleries. So let's get started. Let's click on the starter action and click apply. This is going to create our blank canvas, and it's going to come up and give us a little message that we need to choose a paper for the background. So we're going to hit continue. And on the next screen, I'm going to go to my desktop, into my supplies here, and I'm going to go into my papers folder and choose a paper. And you'll see here on my Macintosh that I have the option to click this icon right here, and it will show me the various papers here, a little preview of them, so I can choose the one I want to use. So I'm going to choose paper number 8 and click place. It will come up here and put it in there and fill the screen, and then I can hit enter on the keyboard, or on a laptop that might be function return. And in Elements I can also click this green check mark to apply it. So there we go, and now it's going to prompt me to save my file. Now this action will only prompt you to save it once unless you run the saver. So if you are doing the individual actions instead of the all-in-one action, you'll want to be sure that you save often. So let's go ahead and name this Layout A and press OK. Now I like to save a layered TIFF file because overall they tend to be smaller files. You just want to be sure that you choose the LZW compression and the option to keep your layers. So that's all the starter action does. The next thing we want to move on to is position 1. So I'm going to scroll up here and I'm going to select the Pocket Pages 1 and press apply. Now in this case you'll see here there is no alternate version, and that's so you just want to start with position 1 or Pocket 1, and that will bring up this message here. And it tells us we want to choose a horizontal image for the pocket. When the action pauses, move or size the image to fill the space. So click continue. And what that means is once we pick out an image, and in this case I'm going to go into my Photos folder and pick my first photo and click place. When it comes up here on the screen, I want to be sure that it covers the entire block that was created for me. Now I can press Command Option minus, or that would be Control Alt minus on a PC, to zoom out a little bit so that I can grab these control handles and resize. If my image were to come in like this and some of that black border is showing, then that's exactly what you're going to see on the page. So you want to be sure that you cover up all that black area of your image. Now if you want, you can also rotate your image by dragging and clicking outside of those control handles and filling the image that way as well. So when you get your image where you want it, you can press enter or click the green check mark to apply. And then the action is going to flatten that piece and position it on the page. You'll see here that we have some guide rules, and those are to help you position your images within the grid that was created. Now you can accept the default here, which will always go to the outermost area of those guide rules, or you can even resize them a little bit smaller. If you like having more space around your page, you can simply click and drag to make that happen. Now I always get confused here in Elements. In older versions of Elements, you had to hold down the Shift key to constrain your image as you resized it, but in the newer versions you don't have to do that. You can just click and drag. When you're happy with the position of your image, again, just press the green check mark or press enter on the keyboard. That is photo position 1. Or Pocket 1, and you'll see over here that our layer is named Pocket 1, and it's added a slight drop shadow. If you want to edit your drop shadow, you can double click on that and change those settings as you prefer. Then the next thing we would do is move on to Pocket position 2 here, and pocket position 2 does not have an alternate either, so we'll just select 2 and click apply. Again, we're prompted for a horizontal image, so I'm going to go get my next photo here. Position it and press enter, and it's going to place it right on the page. Next up is pocket position 3. Now in this particular layout, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have the original layout and the alternate layout, so I'm going to show you both. For 3, we'll just use the standard one and click apply. This is going to prompt us for a vertical journal card. So we want to choose a PNG journal card. So I'm going to back out to the desktop, go into my supplies, click on my journaling cards, and I'm looking for a vertical journaling card. And when I find one I like, I'm just going to click open, and it's going to copy and paste that into the space here. Now, in the Project Life set, the journal cards do come in several different sizes, so they might not always fit exactly into the space that was allotted by these grid lines, and if not, you can resize them as you see fit. So I'm going to just accept the default on this one. Now, you'll see here we did not have to size that to fit the shape, and that's because they've already been designed with the rounded corners and they already have that transparent area around it. So it's just copying and pasting and placing it on the page. When we run the alternate version, I'm going to run number 4 alternate for this area right here. You'll see we'll be prompted for a vertical image to fill over this pocket area. So press continue. And what I'm going to do this time is back out and choose one of the background papers. In this case, let's see. Let's just choose this orange paper and click place. It is going to be placed onto the canvas to fit either the width or the height. And all you have to do is click and drag to size it up to fill that entire spot and press the check mark. And now that will be positioned on the page in the general vicinity of that grid, and press OK. So that's how you can use any paper or photo to fill those additional spots. Now we're going to go on and continue with 5 and 6. And then we'll move on to 7 and 8. Now I'll show you, I was using photos before when I was doing these horizontal images, but they don't have to be photos. You can use one of the horizontal journal cards and just fill it out. You'll see when you resize these, if they come in inside that black area, you just want to make sure that you resize them just over the edge. Press enter. So I can use the journal cards that way. Or I'll show you here in number 8, you can also use a background paper to fill in these large areas as well. So I will grab a fun background paper and fill that area. Okay, so now we have filled in all of the spots here on the page. Now if you want to hide these guides, you can go to View and Uncheck Guides. Now you won't see them, and that is a feature available in Photoshop or the newer versions of Elements. Finally, we're going to add our embellishments and our journaling. First, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and save my file by clicking Command S or Control S on the keyboard. And the first thing I'm going to do is add an embellishment. Now in the all-in-one action, it's going to add 3 at a time. In the individual action, it's just going to add 1 at a time. We're given a message here to choose an element or sticker, and I'm going to pick out an arrow, and then I can click and drag that arrow around on the page anywhere I want it. I can resize it bigger or smaller. I can rotate it by clicking outside of it. And whenever I'm happy with it, I can just press enter. So we've added an element. Let's add another one. Here we've added a number, and I accidentally hit enter a little too quickly or double clicked inside that area, but that's easy to rectify. I can just click my move tool, grab that element, and move it wherever I want to put it. So in this case, I'm going to put it right here. If in Elements you're clicking around and getting frustrated by selecting things that you don't intend to be selecting, you can always turn that off up here on Auto Select Layer. And if you toggle that off, you then can just click the layer you want over here on the layer palette. And anytime you click to move, you will only be clicking the layer that is selected. All right, finally we're going to add the journaling. Now remember, this takes a little while, and it's going to add a journal box on every little spot here on the page. So just click the action and press apply, and then take a little break. Okay, we are all set, and you'll see here we now have 8 text boxes over here in our layers palette, and we have generic text added to each of these spots. Now in this case, I want to turn off 1 and 2 because I don't want my photos covered up with journaling. In 8, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because you can't read it anyway. And I'm going to leave the text in just a couple of these boxes. Now, from here, it's very simple to just double click on a layer, come up here to the top, choose a new font if I want, from whatever fonts I have installed on my computer. I can change the size, I can change the style with the italics, I can change the leading, and I can change the color. And then, of course, I can change the words by typing right over them. And just hit enter, function return to apply that. And then you can proceed on to the next journaling block that you want to edit. Now, this text will cover up any elements that it goes over. You'll see here it goes right over top of my arrow. So in this case, I'm going to want to grab that arrow that we placed on here earlier. That's this one here. And I can click and drag it to the top of my layout. Or, for a shortcut, you can hold in the Control or Command key and press the bracket on the keyboard, which will move it up or down depending on which bracket you hit. So now you'll see when we zoom in to this layout, there's our arrow, and it's sitting on top of the journaling. Now, if it bothers you and you don't want any of your journaling covered up, you can move it. You can also edit that journal block here. That's this one. And put in line breaks manually so that your journaling goes around that element. There you go. Okay, so when you're happy with your page, you can save that manually, or if you want to use the saver, you can come down here, click on the saver, and click apply. We get a little message that we're going to save a layered TIFF, a full-size JPEG, and a 600 pixel JPEG, and press continue now. Here we're prompted to save the layout again, and I'm going to save right over it. Here come up the compression settings, and like I mentioned before, LZW compression up here and zip compression down here will save the smallest file. Once it's done saving that, we will be prompted to save the JPEG. And here that comes, and I'm going to click Save. On this compression setting, you always want to choose 10 or higher if you're going to be printing your pages out. And then we're going to be prompted to save a small 600 pixel version, and for this one you will need to edit the name of the file. So I'm going to put SM behind it for small and click Save. And for your web version, you can save it smaller than 10. I like to do mine at 9. And then that's all there is to it. You can close out of that file and start a new page if you want. So those are the basics of the Scrap It Pocket Pages actions. And for each one that you load here, you'll have it in the drop-down menu, and you can easily go back and forth between the different layouts. And remember to refer to your cheat sheet so you can see those, and have fun creating your pocket style pages. And I hope that you'll share some with us over at the Daily Digi and Scrapbook Graphics, and with Becky Higgins over at jessicasprague.com. Thanks for watching this episode of Learning.